In 2022, when William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua, and indeed the entire Kenya Kwanza team, were campaigning, they used the church platform to hoodwink the congregation that they were indeed God sent. And the church took a stand that for the first time in the history of Kenya, they had a candidate. William Ruto used to give them money. He used to read Bible verses, leading choruses, and with that, bishops and many of the clergy endorsed William Ruto. After ascending to power, the church is rebelling against William Ruto and they're accusing him of mutilating the pulpit. They're saying that William Ruto is committing blasphemy because he continues to negate the promises that he gave out in churches. Instead, he perpetuates politicking in the church. The clergy has turned away and they are not massaging William Ruto. They are telling him that you are wrong and you are leading Kenya to the wrong direction religiously, politically, and even economically. But William Ruto still insists that he does not use the church to campaign and insists that he's a Christian. His main goal is to do God's will. The Bible says we should not judge, but at the same time, the Bible tells us that if you want to know a true Christian, there are fruits that they must bear. Listen to William Ruto.
We don't come to church to do or to look for politics. Sisi tunaelewa mahali ya kutafutana na masiasa na makura. Tunajua mahali ya kwenda kutafuta hiyo maneno. Tukikuja kanisani, tunakuja kwa sababu tuko na mpango ya kwenda mbinguni. Yes. And we are very unapologetic about our faith in God. And we are not in charge to look for fame or to look for votes. We come to church because we are Christians. We believe in God. And in any case, the Constitution of Kenya, the first chapter, says God of all creations in our Constitution. And that is why Kenya is a God-fearing nation.
Now, the UDA government under the leadership of William Ruto has come under sharp criticism from the church itself. I have always maintained on this platform that both the hippopotamus and the crocodile live in water. So when the crocodile tells you that the hippopotamus is sick, you have no reason to doubt because they know each other. Birds of the same feathers flock together. Now, William Ruto and the church became one thing. When the church tells you that William Ruto has negated his Christian duties as a president, you must accept that. Very many pastors have criticized William Ruto in front of him in church. I remember this pastor who was telling William Ruto, stop thieving, stop stealing and use your money to help the poor. But if there is one bishop that I've always liked, his manner of criticizing the government is very objective and is soft-spoken and he hits hard, but with facts that you cannot even find faults in him.
In these moments that we are living in this country will help us reflect on one or two things that we all Kenyans must once more recalibrate to realign our thoughts, our actions, our words, and our hearts. We are competing, unfortunately, in one evil, the evil of insults and lack of respect. We are competing in showing power in the way we impress that power, impose ourselves on others. We are competing in dishonesty. If only we would recover from this which the saints are giving us, that we start competing in honesty, in truthfulness, in service. This is what true leadership is about. It's thinking about the very poor, like Blessed Irene Stephanie Nyada. It is thinking about lifting those who are mourning and grieving. It is about coming from our pedestals to the level of the people. In our country, Kenya, we must learn humility, especially in leadership. In our country, Kenya, we must learn service as our main concern by speaking about the issues of service that we are activating. We must activate concern for others and not concern for ourselves. Our leaders are thinking way too much about their image and about their future and not thinking about the image of the poor, the needy, the miserable, the ones living in slums, the sick. With the shift of the NHIF to SHIF, we don't seem to have had that thought of the sick. People who die because they can't get services. That's our main concern. We must think about those who don't have shelter. We must think about those who are mourning their lost ones. We must think about even our fellow members of families who truly need our concern. Kenyans must now apply their heart and start applying their fists. We must unclench our fists to embrace, to touch, to uplift, and to bless. This is what saints teach us. This is what Christianity is. Not to clench, to open your palms, to embrace, to lift, to comfort, to bless. If we do that, we'll be better citizens, better humans, better leaders, and above all, better Christians. This is our prayer as Christians, that in these occasions like today, can we Kenyans find in us, in our hearts, the courage to do right, to love, to forgive, to uplift, and to tame our tongues. God bless you.
You will agree with me that if there is one person who has been very consistent is Bishop Muheria, telling William Ruto how it should be. Let us look at a few things that is ailing the UDA government. But even before we do that, from where you sit, do you agree with Bishop Muheria? And what are some of the things that you feel William Ruto is not doing right? Let's look at a few of these things. Number one, corruption and wastage is ailing this country. You remember how Raila told us before he got to government that there was a government-to-government oil deal that enriched a few people in the government at the expense of Kenyans' taxpayers' money. In fact, even Museveni cried foul that there were a lot of bureaucracy in the government, middlemen who were taking a lot of money. Where's that woman who was saying that his container, I don't know, was taken? This government really knows how to create a story whenever we are in a crisis. You remember Wamboyo, that lady who said she lost some billions and she was abducted by the DCI. Where did that story go? It ended just like that because they know Kenyans have forgotten. So the controller of budget, the auditor general, have always told us that there's a lot of wastage, there's a lot of corruption. This is ailing William Ruto. The renovation of the State House and Deputy President's office and all these monies that are unaccounted for to the offices of the First Lady, Second Lady, and even the wife to Prime Cabinet Secretary. Unnecessary spending and dealings. Number two, unilateral decisions. William Ruto believes in himself and he believes that it is like Kenya is his and he is Kenya. He wants to launch projects, he wants to initiate policies without contacting people. If you've seen things like GMO, the cases that have been in court have always been, William Ruto has been accused of trying to force policies down the throat of Kenyans. The constitution demands that you must subject every new project or policy to Kenyans because this is a government of the people, by the people, for the people. If at all William Ruto believes that he was voted by Kenyans. But many a times he does not subject all these to public participation, and even when he does, those processes are always mere formality. He has really detached himself from the people of Kenya. He is endearing himself so much to the Western countries, pleasing them and doing everything that they want. When the IMF gave him conditions that he must stop subsidies, he abandoned them. He increased taxes because those were the preconditions to get more loans. And he has continued to accept everything that the West wants, the LGBTQ, GMO, loans, and all that taxation. And this is really ailing Kenyans. And this is what the bishop is talking about. He's so much obsessed about abandoning the policies and projects of Uhuru Kenyatta, from NHIF to SHIF, from the kazi kwa vijana to the construction of affordable housing. Now, the university, new university funding model, and if you look at them, they are still half baked. He does not really include experts and accept criticism and change when the need be. Instead, he wants to force them. He continues to say that shift is the best thing, yet even doctors are saying that we really need to relook into this shift and make changes that will be even better for Kenyans. And William Ruto continues to lie to Kenyans. He promised them quite a number of things. He has not implemented them, yet he continues to promise more, and he can lie without blinking, and he does not care. And these are some of the things that are ailing this UDA government. And the church is telling William Ruto, we helped you ascend to power. Please, it is like his presidency was birthed at the altar. And now he's going against the promises and the vows that he made to God. And that's why William Ruto is in problems. And I totally agree with Bishop Muheria. And the church must stand and tell William Ruto and call William Ruto to help check the government, because we don't have an opposition now. The opposition that we have is weak because people like Kalonzo and Eugene are not doing enough.